This is part 2 of our conversation with Ryan Conley, a firefighter, entrepreneur, and the founder of Carna Bunker Gear. Today we move from the why to the how. If part 1 opened your eyes to the hidden dangers of training in contaminated gear, part 2 is the tactical breakdown of how Ryan took an idea and turned it into a movement. You'll hear about the mindset shifts needed to go from firefighter to founder, the hurdles of manufacturing something that's never existed before, and the unexpected lessons from lifting, failing, and then getting back up. We also explore what true firefighter fitness should look like, why most wellness programs fall short, and how Carna is reshaping the standard, not just for today's crews, but for the next generation. This isn't just about bunker gear. It's about leadership, innovation, and creating change when everyone else is still busy talking about it at the kitchen table. So let's finish what we started.
Welcome to the Keep the Promise podcast, where we help build resilient and well-rounded firefighters.
Do you see your approach to firefighter physical fitness being different from most run-of-the-mill approaches to it?
I'll say I have my purview on it, like everybody does. So when it comes to something like firefighter fitness, that again is like a very high level analysis and understanding of something. Firefighting, as far as like fitness performance and health and basically that in like a bubble, if you're going to look at that from a exercise physiology, a coaching lens, an athletic development lens, it's complex because you're not just trying to develop one attribute. A lot of sports kind of fall into the area of like, more or less similar developmental needs for the sport. So like football, you need strength, explosiveness, and then depending on the position they play, they might need a little bit more top end speed or a little bit more strength, like a lineman. But you're pretty much running, doing some kind of throws and lifting along with practicing your sport. So firefighting is kind of similar to CrossFit in the sense of you need a lot of different development in physiological areas. You need good aerobic fitness. You need good anaerobic fitness. You need good strength. And developing those things all at once is not ideal. So you kind of need to look at it as the overarching theme of what firefighters need. And when it comes to that, I basically just break it down into the simplest terms is you need to work out. If we're doing, 3 days a week or 4 days a week or something, you need to have a couple days where you're doing long, steady endurance type training where I can talk to you. We're in that, zone 2, zone 3 type of development where you're doing something for an extended period of time. And then second, you need to do something that gets you extremely out of breath. So huffing, puffing on the floor, dying like your lungs about to cough up out of your throat. And then third, you need to do some kind of resistance training where the muscles are going to failure. And then within that, doing some kind of explosive work. So jumps, throws, things of that nature. So we're really doing everything. It's just how do you want to periodize it and program it? And then you also have to look at the individual firefighter. I myself am, 250 pounds. I competed in powerlifting for a long time. I am very much overdeveloped in the strength side of what a firefighter needs. Whereas one of my good friends and chiefs of the department, he was qualified for the Boston Marathon. So you're not going to take both of us and put us on the exact same training program. It would make no sense. So you have the general outlook of do something steady state for a long time, do some high intensity aerobic or high intensity training where you're out of breath and dying, and then do some kind of resistance training. As long as those bases are getting covered, you really then have to look at it as the individual and providing proper coaching for them and programming. And that's one of the things where I think the fire service messes up a lot is it's just such a generic cookie cutter program just thrown up on the board. And I see it all the time. And it's like the WOD of the day or this or that, which I kind of talk out of both sides of my mouth with this because it's like, I don't want to put a barrier on exercise in the fire service. Like I want guys to work out. So it's like, whatever you want to do, I'm fine with that. Please, do not think that I'm dispromoting any kind of exercise. It's just that I'm probably more of a snob looking at it from like a higher end level where I would like guys to have not one-on-one coaching, but have somebody observing them, because a lot of time it's movement strategies also. And if guys aren't moving properly while they're trying to overload and make a physiological adaptation, like doing a CrossFit workout with as many rounds as possible with, burpees, muscle ups, hang cleans, things of that nature, where you can get hurt doing that. You have to figure out what the risk versus reward ratio is, and then you have to start them off in an appropriate category. So long story short, there's a lot of things that you can look at and have maybe general principles. The F to T, I think it's an IAFF initiative, I think. So fitness to trainer or something like that. They put on a very good class for firefighters, trying to teach them to be coaches and educate their fire department on how to train and exercise. So there's programs out there like that provide really, really good foundational education stuff and tools for guys. And then at the end of the day, you have to just be a coach or have somebody that knows how to do it, watch you and make sure you're doing the proper dosage of an activity and you're not going to hurt yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you're on workman's comp, the workout didn't help you, it hurt you, and we don't want that either. So it's a really fine balancing act. I hope that didn't answer your question at all, but
no, I mean, hell, you pissed off all the CrossFitters by calling it the WOD of the day.
yes.
So,
A
well
lot of the
done.
day. That's like RIT team.
Oh, the
RIT team.
The pat tag, or
Yes.
yeah, we love that. But
there is one more thing with I like talking about this study in particular because we brought up CrossFit. So University of Kentucky, Dr. Mark Abel, he's been working with firefighters forever. He was also a volunteer firefighter. Awesome dude. Love his work. He did some studies out there, and they had looked at firefighters that worked out and then compared it to firefighters that didn't work out while doing basically a fireground not activity, but like a combat challenge, but more skill set type thing. So something like that. And the guys that performed the guys that worked out on shift, they performed a 15-minute workout, something like that, which was not terrible. It was like a bent barbell row for 30 seconds, rest, overhead press 30 seconds. So it was like a generic bodybuilding type thing with some treadmill work in there. Nothing that was overly taxing. Good little workout. They did it prior to doing the combat challenge, as for lack of a better term. And then the guys that didn't work it out at all just did the combat challenge with no workout preceding it. So the guys that did the workout were actually 70% faster they were faster than 70% of the guys who were fresh going through the combat challenge alone. And then they were like, all right, cool. This is obviously showing that you should exercise because even if you're fatigued, they're still quicker than 70% of the guys who were just sitting on their ass. And then as he was getting into actually training the guys at the department, they were getting tones and then they were having to go to respond to calls while he was in person training them. And he was he looks over at his partner and they're like, do you think we're doing the right thing? Some of them look pretty gassed when they're going out for these calls. I wonder if it's safe, the amount of intensity we're doing right here. So they follow up and do another study. And this time they did a CrossFit type workout where they did an AMRAP for the equal amount of time as the first workout, 15 minutes or whatever. Same idea, rower, deadlifts, cleans, all these things that are high intensity, and you're not stopping. You're just going. They did the test again, 10 minutes after the workout and 60 minutes after the workout. 10 minutes after the workout, the firefighters were 50% slower than their original times. So you're seeing that they're having a detrimental effect on the individual, even if those guys are in shape. So you're able to complete the task. They're still faster than, most of the guys that are not working out, but they're 50% slower, for their own time. So you're doing something almost at half speed. So you see a negative effect there. And then finally, when they did it 60 minutes post-workout, their times were, I think, only 10% slower. So it's reasonable-ish. But that took an hour to recover from a 15-minute hard AMRAP workout. So what I like to tell guys is basically know where your red line is. Applying this is know where your red line is. Don't push into your red line if you're on shift working out. Just stay below it. And understand that as you develop qualities of physical fitness that raise your floor, you're going to be able to do harder things and recover from them quicker, but you still cannot push your own red line, if that makes sense.
Real quick before we jump back in. Firefighters don't leave each other behind. We look out for our own. Right now, there's a firefighter out there, maybe a rookie, maybe a seasoned veteran, who needs this podcast. They need the lessons, the mindset, and the training tips. But they'll never get them unless you help them. Here's how you can help right now. On Apple Podcasts, tap the 5 stars, then scroll down and write just a few words about what the show has done for you. On Spotify, tap the 3 dots, select Rate Show, and drop your rating. It takes less than 60 seconds, it costs you nothing, and it helps one more firefighter get better, stronger, and more prepared. We look out for each other. This is one small way that you can pay it forward. All right, back to the show. So basically, leave the redlining for an actual call.
Yes.
But still get workouts and get movements in
Yeah.
at the firehouse.
Yeah. And if you want a red line, which, high intensity type stuff, just do it on your off day. That's all.
Yeah. Puke at your own gym. Don't puke at the firehouse. You're also the chairman of the Wellness Fitness Initiative, right?
Yeah.
What does that entail within your department?
So,
Or should we skip it altogether?
No. It's just it's one of those things where it's it's a slow developing thing, like most departments that are trying to make cultural change. And I say slow just because of how I am. Like, I'm get stuff done yesterday type guy. So the kind of the having to go through multiple channels and the red tape and all that is a slow process for me. But I think we started around 5 years ago. Prior to that, we had just gotten a ton of fitness equipment for all of our stations, like Rogue, dumbbells up to 75 pounds, barbells. We're very, very spoiled in that sense, where we have great equipment and our chiefs bought into it. They were like, hey, we're going to do this. Let's do it right. And we've just been slowly developing like how we're doing it right and improving it every year. So since then, we do a biannual test every other year. So like 150 guys per year we're testing. So we split them in two. And we basically go through and do the Wellness Fitness Initiative test, more or less. So they do a VO2 max, push-ups, wall squats, body fat composition, all those things. And then we record the data, don't have any of their names attached to it or anything, and just kind of look to see what the averages are in the numbers. We don't have anything punitive for it. Like, you just have to do the test. And then obviously we'll give you feedback as we're doing it in person with them. So there has been a big shift in the culture since I started. Like, most people weren't working out online. There was not really great gym equipment. I think there was mainly like a multifunctional machine at most stations. Now we have all this great stuff. Most guys work out almost every day. And it's definitely a culture change. Like, we are definitely, like, I would say, a highly physically active department. And I would also say we're probably a little bit younger. We're on average, we don't have that much of an older age department. We have a lot of younger middle-aged folks. So I think that might also be a contributor to it, but I have noticed the increase in the desire for physical fitness, healthy lifestyle, things of that nature. And I'd like to hope to think that we've affected that change. And it's something that our department's definitely bought into from the top down. The chief wants to do it, and everybody's kind of, gathered behind that. And it's been a cool thing to see over the long term.
Dude, that's awesome. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Especially, 5 years is kind of a short span of time in
in reality,
fire service terms. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I just, I'm like, I want to go coach these guys. I want to do all this stuff. So, and we are trying to make a position for like a health and safety type guy to oversee all this stuff. So hopefully that's my intent, is to get there and do that and oversee the entirety of the program.
Now, when it comes to wellness, it's not just the physical side of things.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys address the mental health conversation, the mental health side of things within the fire service?
Yeah. And I will say this isn't my forte per se, but I know that one of my good friends who's also on some of these committees with me, he is our lead on that. And there's a lot of also great programs out there. For the most part, it's, I know that living a healthy lifestyle helps. Like exercise has been shown to be close to as effective as some pills and psychiatry and stuff like that when it's under the right context. If somebody has a neurological disorder or a hormone disorder, that needs to be treated. But as far as everyday people, getting your life straightened out, doing things that you're supposed to do, exercising, eating right, sleeping right, all of those things lay a baseline foundation for mental health and are going to help with handle things that are difficult. Because you're building up a shield more or less to stress. So if you have the ability to do that and be consistent with it in your lifestyle, I think that shows, or I think that helps drastically. And exercise has just literally been shown to reduce depression. It's just wild that's such a strong driver to health and mental health to me. So finding the kind of the difference, like if is it an acute PTSD thing, which we don't really see a ton of. It is definitely something. More of what it is like burnout, from my understanding from hearing some of the psychologists speak. And the burnout component of it is something where the entire department needs to kind of get together and understand. Like you've got your brothers and sisters that you can talk to and like try and troubleshoot and figure out problems. And then the department, the office and the executive staff, like they need to figure out what is causing some of this burnout. Like, are these guys working double time all the time? Are they just on the rescue constantly nonstop? Are they getting woken up for tones to calls that they're not going to? Like, there's going to be individual things in every single department that they need to hone in on and figure it out for themselves. And I think that that's going to make all the difference in the world. Like, again, you can take these general tools, work out, sleep right, try and be mindful, get off your phone sometimes, bond with your fellow firefighters and the fire department and build a community and a friendship and a family. And then you also have to figure out the acute variables that are bringing down the department at their own individual level.
That sounds like a word-for-word playbook on how to implement that wellness culture within a department.
Oh, nice.
So,
great.
Folks, as you're listening, take note. It's not
notes.
just a physical side. It's a multifaceted approach, but always relying on that physical foundation.
Yes. Coming from the meathead.
Yeah, like this is the smartest meathead I've ever talked to. Whatever creatine you're taking must have like brain chemicals or some shit, man. It's that what do we call that? Carbo something. Yeah, wow. Yeah, there goes that product idea.
Well.
Should have written that down. My indie rock band name is gone.
How are you going to be a rock star now?
Sure, I need to learn how to play something first. So, one of the most fascinating things that I get to do on this podcast is talk to fellow entrepreneurs, because I love the firefighter mindset and I love the entrepreneurial mindset, and combining both of them is always so eye-opening because of the way that we approach the world versus Joe Schmo off the street who started his own little business. So I want to dig into a couple of these things. Starting with the idea phase, with the ideation. We are good at solving problems around the kitchen table and saying, this sucks, this is awful, somebody should do this, somebody should change it. And much like our indie rock band name, it all just fades away into the ether. How did you go from idea to action? Like, when did you say, you know what? Fuck it. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, it's like what you said before, elephants eating tigers, just one bite at a time. Just kidding. I did that backwards on purpose. So
they're herbivores, man.
They're herbivores. You just need, dude, like I said, I invested the time and energy into making sure that it made sense. And I was like, I see this. It's a problem. We need a solution. I am in a place in my life right now where I'm like, I feel like I can dedicate, the time and energy to developing it. And I wanted to go through with it and actually execute on it. And execution is something that I'm a very big believer in, like not to, suck on Jocko or anything or any of those dudes, but making sure that like you're not just talking about things, like you're walking the walk and you're executing it. Like you can have the best game plan in the world and go into a fight and like have this strategy to do all this and do all that. And like, as soon as you get punched in the face, it's all out the window. So you just have to start doing things one day at a time. And I think the first thing I did was, like I said, research. Okay, cool. The idea is solid. It makes sense. Like I'm okay with putting so much of my time and energy and my finances, personal finances, into the development of this. It's something that I think is worthwhile. So I bought an old set of bunker gear off eBay. And I hunted for a while to find somebody who could help me do this. Cause I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. Like literally I was a coach, I was a firefighter. Like I did not know anything about fabrics, about clothes, nothing. So I found a lady in North Florida who does like Army military type tech prototype things. And I contacted her. I was like, hey, this is my idea. I want to try this out. She's like, cool, send me that set of gear. I'm going to cut it up and basically tear it down. And she's going to rebuild it from the broken down parts with her own fabric and material. So I didn't know any of what the material was. She made this list of what fabrics and materials she used, how much of it. She made this a blueprint for it, like literally what you would like draw on a clear piece of plastic, all of these diagrams of where to cut this and how to cut that. And then we updated it to a CAD system through another lady that she was connected with, who was kind of like the middleman connector from prototype to getting it to manufacturing. She introduces me to a manufacturer in Los Angeles, Bev. She's awesome. She does a great job. We've been working with her for like 2 years now. And they took the CAD and we made 7 sets, I think, was our first batch run of bunker gear. We made 7 sets, different sizes, and that was kind of the first year of it, maybe. So yeah, it was just one day at a time, man. I was like learning stuff on the fly, still learning stuff every single day. We've had some expensive lessons. I've definitely kicked my own ass a couple times, and eventually we just finally figure something out where you're like, okay, I kind of like where this is headed. It looks good.
What were some of those expensive lessons?
Oh, there's a few. One of them was probably the first big batch of gear that we ran. So we made those 7 sizes, everything. So remember, everything was based off of the size set of gear that fit me. So when we went to Bev the first time, we're like, hey, we want to do 6 or 7 sizes, whatever it was. And she's like, all right, cool. I'll, make it based off of your gear, scaled off your gear. So it went a little bit up and it went a little bit down. Well, the smallest set of gear we made was a 40-inch waist. And I'm like, well, that's not going to cut it. Like, so we worked with her on that to then scale the next round. And I think, forget how something happened to where the inside waist, the way that you communicate, the way that she builds stuff is they look at the exterior. Whereas when you measure somebody, you're looking at their direct measurements.
Right.
So we had the jacket down. The jacket I'd figured out. I'm like, all right, it's basically plus 10 inches is the exterior circumference that she needs. Well, for some reason, the waist escaped me and we were like 2 inches off. So our 40-inch waist pants were 38 inches. So I really had like a medium and a half instead of a large. And then, so it was basically like that. So that was expensive. And for the most part, it still fit most guys, but I'd have to size them up sometimes. So there's just random things of that nature. And, so
you created a true schmedium by accident.
Yes. So lessons learned, and then I'm sure there's others, but sometimes you just have to bend over and, fork out your wallet and just move on and learn the lesson.
Not where I thought you were going with that. So you start getting this gear out to firefighters. What reactions were you getting, and did any of them surprise you, either on like the good or bad end of the spectrum when it comes to reactions?
Most of them were all very positive. We sold actually 2 of the one of the very first, I think it might've been the first. No, it was, I think the second set we ever sold was to one of my good friends at work. And then, it was I think 2 or 3 guys at work bought, and another guy from South Carolina who's awesome. And most of the feedback was actually, it's really hot. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. I'm like, well, we accomplished our goal. And some of them were like, I think it might be hotter than my normal gear. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. Like maybe it's too much. So that was probably the first feedback we got, and everything was very good. It feels like gear. It's awesome. It's very, it's heavy. It's bulky. Like it does everything that we want it to do. So that was a great feedback on that end. And then, yeah, we actually scaled down the inner liner thickness from those first few units that we'd made over time. We might even have room to make it even a little bit, more breathable, but it's fine where it's at right now. We could make it a little bit more breathable if I want to or not, but we'll play with that as we go here. But right now it's solid. It's hot enough to where it's slightly hotter than normal bunker gear. You're going to get the thermal acclimation and you're going to be sweating. So every time I do a video and film something, I'm already like perspirating a little bit, just standing
Probably
there.
because you're in Florida, bro. The humidity is
That's
200% outside.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had departments purchase bulk orders?
What was it? What have we made? We've done over 200 units. I want to say the majority of the bulk orders we're doing are actually being sent out right now.
Nice.
They're wrapping up production right now on, I think, 130 units. So yeah, we've done over 200. We're wrapping up production on like 130. I think we're selling 120 of them. I think 7, 10, 12, something like that are going to stay with us for sizing sets and things of that nature. And yeah, we've sold some to departments. I wouldn't say it's bulk, but like a few to the training division, a few for like things of that nature. And then everything else is kind of in motion as we speak. Yeah.
Like, I'd imagine that those departments that field teams for the Scott Combat Challenge or whatever might want to have their crews working out on those. So they might.
Yes.
They're not a bulk order, but it's a department order going to their specific guys.
Oh, yeah. We've definitely done departments, different departments for sure. We've done a couple last year, and then this year. It's funny because a lot of times it just takes a while for budgets. You got to land on the right budget cycle. It's got to go through all these motions and things. So like some of the gear that we're getting out right now, I want to say we started a relationship with the Department of the Firefighters like last year or the year prior. It's like we've got some stuff going to Colorado, to Texas, and those relationships we've had for over a year. So it's just you know how it is. It takes a while.
Why the blue gear?
Because we're crayon eaters, dude. I can't put tan gear that's non-certified on a firefighter and expect him to not run into a training burn and get burned alive and then sue me. So it's just another layer of safety for us and for the guys, because if somebody sees a set of blue gear, the chief or the safety officer or whoever is going to be like, dude, what are you wearing? Like, why did you grab that and throw that on accident? So it's really just a layer of safety. And the military has like blue guns when they do some of their training drills. So that was kind of what we went with, was just make it painfully obvious that it's not normal bunker gear. We do sell, we can sell I've made like a green set of gear that looked pretty cool. Gray was another color that another department brought up.
I feel that gray would be
it would look cool.
lot less emasculating than
I feel emasculating.
the EMS jumpsuit blue.
So ironically, I did not know that was a thing, like the blue EMS jumpsuit. And I don't know if I just didn't register it because our EMS, like I see guys, I don't know. I just never put the two together. And when we made that gear, guys were like, what is this, like EMS bunker gear? I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, no. So yeah, that is something that I've had to deal with. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing. So
dude, get that gray shit out there. Like get it produced. Interesting. How long does it take to manufacture one set of gear? Like if I went and I place the order right now, when can I be getting sweaty with it?
It really depends. I mean, if we've got all of the material set up, ready to go, well, it also depends if I have it in stock. If I got it in stock, I just send it out. So that's happened to a few guys. And that's awesome. I love when we can do that. And then aside from that, if we have to build an order, it depends where we're at with material wise. And our manufacturer is awesome. So depending on how many units we manufacture, they are going to scale their team to meet those needs, right? So 50 is really our minimum for like any kind of bulk discount. So the gear starts at $1,500, drops down to $1,000. And that's because they can start making things more efficient on their end. Because if they make 7 sets of gear, 10 sets of gear, it's going to take them as long to make 10 sets of gear as it takes them to make 50, if she can scale out. So you've got price breaks at like 50, 100, 200 plus or something like that. So you've got a few different price breaks, but more or less it would be, if everything's ready, sitting there to go, and I just say, send it, they're probably around 3 months, give or take. So it's not terrible. Oftentimes, like this last order, and I apologize to anybody that's listening to this last order had been pushed back multiple times just from getting material in, and then also people hopping on every time we're about to execute on it. They're like, oh, well, we're going to buy some more. We're going to buy some more. So it kind of kicked the can down the road a little bit. And then it's always, as far as like entrepreneurship stuff that you like never expect. Some of our fabric was separated at port after they x-rayed the box, or the crate that it came in. So you're not expecting that. I didn't even know it got separated, and neither did my manufacturer. And like half of our duck cotton shows up like a month later versus all the other stuff that got delivered. So there's just things that like you are literally out of your control, and you're just rolling your eyes when things like that happen. You're like, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I can't even make this stuff up. I wish I had a concrete story for you that made sense, but
yeah, reality is oftentimes a lot stranger than fiction. Some of the shit that happens in the business world, you're like, listen, this just happened. I didn't believe it either, but I'm going through it. I don't know what to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
In the process of developing and getting this gear into the hands of firefighters, has there ever come a time that you had to make a compromise in what you make and how it aligns to your values?
I don't think so. Some of the things we do get pushback on the color quite often, as far as like,
besides
guys,
that,
like, well,
that's a given.
Yeah, that's an obvious one. They're like, well, I want black gear. I'm like, I'm not making you black gear unless it. So we do make PIO gear is what I call it, for like a public education officer. There's no inner liner in it, so it's literally just like a thin coat. So I'm like, guys aren't going to think, like, they're going to put this on immediately and they're going to know it's not bunker gear. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that wanted, different colors. I'm like, I understand, like, I get it. It's just not happening. I apologize. But no, I don't think we've had any like thing. Like I said, we've definitely learned some lessons. There's been communication errors where I would have done things differently with some buyers in the past. But as far as that's concerned, we try to do the best that we can. And it was a developing product for sure back then. And you just live and learn. And then we're always trying to make small tweaks to it and make it a little bit better as we go. In every single batch that we make, we usually tweak something and make it. We try and listen to the customer feedback, right? So there's things where guys give you information. You're like, oh yeah, like I didn't even think about that, or that hasn't happened to me, because I can't replicate every single training scenario that somebody's going to do under every circumstance. It's just not going to happen. So like one of the things that we did was move the reflective tape on the pants up a little bit higher on the bottom of the pants, so that it's not on the very bottom there. So it's not being scraped and scratched up as you're dragging guys doing some kind of mayday or man down drill to drag them out. So it's very small stuff like that, but I haven't had to make any compromises with things. I mean, the company is consisted of myself, my partner, Zach, who's a firefighter out in Scottsdale, and my other good friend who is a retired Air Force guy. He's also in Tampa here with me. So we've done this as, good friends, best friends, and our values are our values. Like, we're always going to put those things first and the mission first. And at the same time, you're trying to operate a company, and the cold side of things is like, which hasn't come to that at all, but I've almost had to shut down. Like, there's to a point where like, I don't know if this is going to financially, like if I have to keep breathing life into it, it's not going to be sustainable. It has to breathe on its own. So there's a point in the day where if you're running a company and a business, it has to make money on its own. It has to grow up and it has to do its thing. So if it's not doing that, then the market doesn't want it. And that's something that's reality, and that you have to listen to that. But you just have to also make sure that you're executing on your tasks and doing things like making sure the product is solid, making sure guys understand how to use it, making sure marketing's there, making sure that you're continuing to grow with the mission and all these things. So yeah, we stand on trying to do the right thing at all times. And if we fall short, then we're going to try and make it right the best we can.
Now, coming from the fire service world into entrepreneurship, you've had to change how you think. What has been one of the biggest mind shifts that have taken place?
It's funny, dude, because I think I'm the opposite. I think that when I came into the fire service, I was very surprised and shocked at kind of some of the cultural, I don't want to say, not everybody's lazy. And then you definitely have
Oh my God, we're pissing off everyone today.
Not everybody's lazy, and you definitely have different ages of guys that are, half of it out the door, which it's all understandable. Like, I get it. But I didn't really think that it's kind of the same thing as the WFI stuff. Like, I just don't see forward progress as quickly enough sometimes. And that's really what grinds my gears is I'm like, hey, this is clearly a problem. Why are we not doing something about it immediately instead of it just seems to take so long with so much of the stuff? And that's something that I had always thought was, it's just kind of a problem of anything that's a large entity with it, whether it's a city, county, country, like you just run into roadblocks that it's hard to move big wheels. So everything I've always done has basically just been one day at a time, like you said. And I've kind of had to understand that better in the fire service, that this is a large wheel to turn and you just have to keep cranking on it a little bit every day. It's not going to be something that's an overnight fix at all. Like we had put in we had been trying to get a individual tone system for the rooms to where you're able to select what apparatus you're on. Mm-hmm. I think I put in for that in 2017 and we just got it installed this year. So it's one of those things where that's not my style. I just like, and I get it. You have budgets, you have all these things. It's not my job. I don't know the complexities that come behind that, just the same way that somebody doesn't understand the complexities of running this business. So there's all these little things that you just kind of have to take with a grain of salt and move on. And I just continue to raise my hand and try and be helpful. And then also, giving them the appropriate, or giving them as much information and doing as much footwork as possible when you want things to be changed. That always helps. So instead of being like, hey, this is an idea, and then you don't do anything about it, that is not a recipe for success typically.
I used to say that getting anything done in the fire service is like trying to steer the Titanic with a popsicle stick.
With a popsicle stick.
Because you're like, I think I'm doing something, but we're still going in the same exact direction as we were. And all of us have that short feedback loop. And if it doesn't happen immediately, we're like, this is bullshit.
Yep.
So looking ahead at the next 5 to 10 years, what does success for Carna look like? Is it growth, impact, partnerships, a movement? What is it?
Yeah, man, hopefully all the above. I've got some partnership thing maybe in my scope a little bit. We'll see. It might help us do some DOD and like Department of Defense type military stuff to get very compliant. That would be cool if we can do that. That is a goal of mine. Overall, my big picture goal with this stuff is, like I said, it is kind of the cancer crusade, air quotes. So this is just a tool that falls under that. And I hope that it is as successful as I believe it will be or should be. But the overall mission is really to help reduce cancer in the fire service. And that is going to be a big picture approach, a systemic approach, to try and eliminate some of the things that we've been doing that are not helpful to firefighters' health and longevity. So the mission is hopefully that, to make sure that we're educating guys along the way and that this type of information and application is spread through the fire service. And it gets into the hands of guys that are movers and that make changes. So, Henry Ford, they asked him if he had made what the people want. He said they would have been still riding horses. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of that is also synonymous to the fire service in that sense of they didn't want training gear. Nobody else did it. And I'm like, well, you know what? This makes sense. And I think that we should move towards it. And then eventually in 10 years or 15 years, if it's common standard and common practice, the new guys coming in are going to be like, Oh, you guys didn't have training gear that was, not dirty and contaminated through frontline firefighting? I can't believe you guys didn't do that. Like, why would you not do that? That doesn't even make sense. So that's my goal. I want to improve the fire service for all the guys coming up before us and try and make it, better than we found it. So I think it's something that we can accomplish as a fire service and try and just keep spreading that mission and message.
One final question that I did not put on the list. It's my favorite question to ask at the end. What failure do you cherish the most?
Damn, how do I even know? I hate failing. God, dude, there's so many. That's funny. Failing, definitely not being a cop was a good one. That was a good failure. I guess, you know what, this one does hurt me a little bit because failing, I loved powerlifting and I love strength sports and I love, being an athlete. I don't want to say I failed at that, but injuring myself enough to where I couldn't continue to go down the path that I was, where I was competing multiple times a year. That was my entire life. Okay. Taking a step back from that allowed me to get the graduate degree, start the company, do all of these things. And I really do not know if I would have had the bandwidth or the want to do all this stuff if I wasn't still pursuing my own athletic pursuits, selfishly in that own selfish way for self-development. So I think that's the greatest failure I've had so far for sure.
Ryan Conley from Carna Bunker Gear. My friend, thank you so much for the last hour and so many minutes. This has been eye-opening. You hit me with a lot of stuff that I had no idea I was even going to talk about. And I will be forever thankful for your continued cancer crusade and you doing the stuff that needs to be done for fitter firefighters and healthier firefighters.
Yes.
So thank you for coming onto the podcast.
No, thank you for having me on. I appreciate anybody that allows me to talk about this stuff and to nerd out with them and to have fun while we're doing it. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate you inviting me on.
Where do we find you?
So we're pretty active on Instagram. We've got Carna Bunker Gear. We try and post educational content as well, because that is obviously a very important thing to me. We have our website, carnabunkergear.com. There's a few articles I've written that are up on there as well. One of them actually talks about some of those the CrossFit workout study type things. So there's educational stuff up on there. And we have an email, carnabunkergear@gmail.com. So all three of those are probably the primary ways to contact us. And if you guys have any questions on things, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll do our best to answer your questions.
My man, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.